Hello everybody, welcome back to Thomas Plays Games. We're playing Factorio. This is patch 0.15, the new one. I think it's 0.15.10. So they've had some time to patch. I waited a little bit before starting playing a bit. I've been a little busy with other things. But yeah, hopefully I solved the weird quality problems that I was having in the last episode. I'll still keep it up because, I made it and I think it was okay. But yeah, hopefully all the problems will be solved. Right now, I am working on getting some iron ore going to the other setup so that I can eventually dismantle the manual, the one where I have to feed it in manually, and just use a automated system. It's the general goal, of course. But yeah, so we got one miner drill going. We're gonna get a whole bunch more. Ideally, filling the patch pretty soon. Make sure I can get it unloading pretty evenly. But yeah, even without logistics, you can do a simple, 10 smelter or whatever setup without much issue. Just set up iron on one side, coal on the other. You get the belt split in two, and you can just pick up any iron that goes there. And I do already have the automation. I already have automation research, so I can build the assembling machines. There we go, with the automated maker machines. But you can build the assembling machines once you get that first tech. It does take a while since I have the settings on 4 times expensive. It's I kind of copied the difficulty of resource generation of the Death World setting to the actual Rail World design because I like the rails. I think it's a very cool system to use lots and lots of trains. But yeah, it does make getting the research quite tough. I think eventually I'll end up using a 20 science setup, and maybe even go beyond that depending on how much I find I need. But yeah, you can see I'm getting a very little bit of iron from this, and I decided that I will need lots and lots of belts, so I'm going to automate the belt production nice and early. Try to get myself lots of things. It's a pretty easy design. Although, because of the expensive resources required, it does take 4 iron plates to make... it takes 4 iron plates to make a gear instead of 2. Or 1, I don't remember what the base setup is, but 4 it's a pretty significant iron cost, so it does make it a little tough. There we go, just put all the coal down, try to get rid of it. I have way too much from picking it up with these guys, and I'm like, maybe I don't need to pick up more coal from them right now. There we go, get the copper plates, that's good. And yeah, just going to chop down some trees. I figure eventually I'm going to get a similar copper setup to the one I have for iron, so I do want these trees out of the way, so I don't have to put my belts through the coal setup and require more belts than I actually want to use. Plus, I don't have much to do until the logistics science finishes. Once it's done, we'll be laughing, but until then, it'll take a little while. Grab some copper and make some more science packs. Got about halfway through the forest there. So I'll have to get back and finish that up later. And yeah, like I was saying in the last episode, you do basically need logistics if you want to do anything more complex than what I have right now. I'll put the belts down because I have them, but I can't easily do the setup since I can't send any belts underneath other belts. And yeah, it's the expensive resources makes it actually pretty tough to get some of these things. It takes a pretty substantial amount of iron to make a mining drill. It makes it a little tough to do. And yeah, I'm not sure if you guys saw, but on the map there, you can actually from the map see how many resources you'd expect to get in a patch. It's a really cool thing to have. And on the bottom left near that lake, you can see on the map there is some uranium and stone. So eventually, once I get to the oil and sulfuric acid research, I will be using that. Here we go, we'll put that thing down. And yeah, just run back to the old iron setup. Grab more so that I have enough. Yeah, it takes a pretty substantial amount of iron to get a mining drill right now. Yep, chopping down some trees. I don't end up using the whole patch for a little while, but I do want to clear out as much as I can while I'm waiting. Let's get some stuff. Gonna need the copper for logistics research and the mining drills. And yeah, just go chop down their next bit. Get a nice clear path right to the copper. Yeah, normally you'd see a more even distribution, but I have significantly more iron nearby than I do copper. So I might have to start using trains sooner than I normally would to make sure I can get a consistent amount of copper. And from the moment you get into advanced electronics on, copper is the biggest problem you're going to have. Like, iron's kind of a big deal, especially if you're using lots and lots of belts, since level 2 and 3 belts are very expensive. But I always find that the copper bottleneck when you get to higher, like red circuits and blue circuits and modules, is the real difficulty. Yeah, so some other things they added in the 0.15 patch are the tanker train things. I don't even say that. They're basically oil tanks or like fluid tanks that you can put on you put in a train instead of the regular cargo wagons, and they are really cool. I was playing around with them in another game, and it makes it way easier to do oil setup since you can just add some pumps to the train setup instead of having to do this weird assembling machine to unload and load the oil barrels. And there you go. You can see I'm just placing some of the belts to get a setup for when I want the copper. Let's run run all the power along there, get some more power as I'm building it with my hands. This is definitely not a lazy bastard achievement run, where you just want to build like less than 110 items manually. I did that one before, and it takes a long time. But yeah, I got the copper going. I figure I'll put the copper underneath or to the right of the coal patch. Because that way I can actually split these things up. Since I don't have many resources, I can't easily put things wherever I want yet. The transport cost is actually pretty high for a lot of these things. And one of the big problems with forest bases, it's like it's a blessing and a curse to get a starting area in a forest. It's really good because you don't have to worry about biters, since all of your pollution will be eaten up by the forest for a long, long time, until you get like super, super industrialized. The problem with that is that you have to chop down trees a lot until you get robotics or flamethrowers. So you go, you can see I just ended up with the automation research. Pretty darn good. Or not automation, I got automation last time. This is the logistics research. So I got the two major researches that I need to actually feel like I'm doing lots of productive things. So I finally am going to get rid of all these previous things and focus almost entirely on the more automated setup, so I don't have to feed stuff in manually. Just waiting for those. Good. And yeah, I got 2 more mining drills, so I'll just hook those up. Yeah, just hook all those things up, get even more iron produced, and just kind of like pull myself up by the bootstraps from into a really effective factory. I have a whole bunch of coal in my inventory from those miner drills. Yep, so I just want to place I'm placing the copper one here. Eventually I'll probably have the copper and iron setups like on a different axes, so that I won't have them like beside each other like I do now, where they're on the same level. And the reason for that is so that you can expand essentially indefinitely. But right now I just needed to get them simply up, and this was the most convenient space I had. Okay, cool. So I figure I'll start looking into some of the researches. The next one I want to get is lights, because it gets really dark at night, and until you get the night vision goggles, it's hard to see, especially on YouTube, where I think the algorithms make it darker than the original recording. So I wanted to make sure that I got as much light as soon as possible. So next research I'll be going for will definitely be that one, although I think I do want to automate it before I do anything. So I'll have to build a couple of assembly machines to do a basic automation of red science. I'm just looking at where I want these things. Yeah, just placing it there seems good. And making a second one so I can have a symmetric distribution on the belt. Cool. And yeah, just grabbing more copper since I haven't fully set up the thing yet, and I do need to build a whole lot of inserters to get the fully functional thing, or the fully functional smelting setup. There we go. Put down a underground belt and just move all the ore over to the iron area, or over to the copper smelting area once I get the chance. Yep, so iron smelting seems to be going pretty well. Almost half of the design over there is being used properly. So I need a whole bunch of coal before I can actually do not coal. I need a whole bunch of I need coal to power the smelters here. But I need a splitter so that I can easily get the coal from the line just up there to the actual smelter. Splitters cost 25 copper in the expensive setup though, so it is going to be a little tough. I figure I'll just seed them myself with all the coal I have. Yeah, throw down an inserter and a chest so I can just pick up whatever I got, whatever I build out of that. And yeah, the yellow inserters are not fast enough to effectively pick up all the iron that's being produced, so I'll eventually switch that to a couple blue inserters. Lots of stuff. There we go. I'll just wait for this copper to be finished. And it's got a little bit longer. And one last copper. I don't want to pick up any ore if I can avoid it. At least until I get trash. Until I get auto trash salt, it's always annoying to have to grab your ore and go over and put it somewhere useful. So I'm making a couple blue inserters, try to get that iron off the line faster so we're not just wasting resource time. There we go, that should be good for now. And yeah, get the coal going all the way to the bottom, or the copper and coal going all the way to the bottom. Eventually I'll split the coal up to get enough. There we go. So yeah, you can see it takes like a pretty substantial amount of copper. And the reason it's more expensive is, I think the major reason is because circuits require a lot more copper than normal. I don't know if the splitter actually takes more resources in its blueprint or in its design schematic thing, but I do know that the circuits take quite a lot more. And what I do here is just move the belt a bit so I can get a second blue inserter onto this iron, pick up even more of it into that chest. And that chest is a pretty darn useful thing. Yeah, you can just pick up a whole bunch of resources whenever you want them. So yeah, designing this setup a little more, I'm going to need 6 more inserters for that side. Put the blue inserter here, get lots and lots of iron in that chest over there. And yeah, now that I have a decent setup, I can start moving the automation, or I can start automating more of the science. Since I don't have to manually feed in iron or copper anymore, I can just automate it and not have to worry. So yeah, just finishing up the inserters on each of those sides. I'm going to need about 40 more to finish up both of the smelting setups. But yeah, we'll pick this up, move it over. Probably just past the copper there. And yeah, I've been trying to think this whole time about where I wanted the main bus to go. Because once I get, now that I have automated smelting, I can start moving the resources into a more convenient area. And then this is where the curse of the forest comes in, where you just actually can't easily get a lot of space. So what I ended up doing is I go straight through the forest down to my south and build the main bus there. But for now, the major concern is just getting iron over to where the actual science is going to get done. So science packs are just 1 copper, 1 gear. I think. I thought that's what it was. Well, it requires copper and gear. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head. But yeah, you need copper and gears, so you need iron to make the gears, and then you just add the copper into the assembly machine. It's a pretty simple schematic overall, very easy to get. Yeah, so I just wanted to get the iron over here. Make sure I got enough belts to actually get things in location. There we go. Excellent. There we go, up to there. And yeah, once the resources actually get there, I shouldn't have to worry about the science, and I'm just going to throw the science packs in there to get the other 7. Optics is only a 4 science research cost, so it's not that bad. Pick up any of the iron got in the chest. And yeah, I'll just make some more of the mining drills. I'm still... The entire length of the smelting array for the iron is not being used. So I want to get more of the actual iron drills so that I can get the full setup going. Yeah, the coal seems good, but it's the iron there's not enough of. So I just want to increase that number. Eventually I'll do the same for the copper, because the copper production is extremely low at the moment. But yeah, because of the increased cost of circuits, it means everything costs a lot more copper. So the copper design I'm going to have to end up with at the very end is going to be pretty darn big, I think. It'll be lots and lots of stuff. It's going to take huge amounts of power, which luckily they added a new way to get lots of power in nuclear power. So I'm a little torn on what I want to do in this series in terms of which science I want to rush for first. Normally I like to rush for level 2 power armor as quick as possible, because that's, in my opinion, the best armor in the game. Or, well, it objectively is, but it's the best research in the game, because it gives you lots and lots of space to actually build a lot of really cool things. And they did buff the personal laser defense, which is very neat. So you can get a lot of power out of just running into a biter base and have your personal laser defense kill everything. So I do like having that armor, but it is extremely expensive in this game. And nuclear power is actually also very expensive, but in a different way. So nuclear power will require just red, green, and blue science, which not easy to get, but not impossible. Whereas Power Armor Mark II requires the high-tech science packs, as well as, I think it requires all 6 types of science packs. The military production, high-tech, red, green, and blue science packs. There we go, finally upgrading to get a full line of smelting here. That's good. So we doubled our ability to make iron in that minute there. But yeah, like I was saying, the Power Armor Mark II is extremely, extremely expensive now. It's not like you just kind of get your first 3 sciences and then go kill some aliens. Now you have to really work for it. So I might end up stuck at Power Armor Mark I for a while, since it's only Power Armor Mark I only requires red, green, and blue, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And I haven't worked out a good nuclear power setup. I haven't really played with it that much, so eventually I'd like to get into some good levels for that, or some good designs for that. And yeah, now that I've increased my resource output, I can finally start getting some of the research going for optics. And I'm like, where do I want this thing to go? And it just fits pretty nicely right there, which is nice and convenient. Eventually I'm going to upgrade the coal area so that I don't have just 2 diverging paths. And yeah, I want to double up where the copper, or the 2 sides of the copper belt, so I decided to just put them in like that. I'm looking at how I want to do this, and I figure over here will be good, and I'll just split them across in the middle. Yep, there we go, that should be good. And there's a little problem here where the coal is on the wrong side of the belt that it was previously, so now I'm going to not realize that's a problem when I made this, or when I was originally doing it, and look and see now, like, where the heck did all this coal come from? Oh, maybe I'm oblivious. Eventually I do realize, though. Might take a little bit of time. That circuit cost is just absurd. Yeah, I think normally the circuit design I eventually end up using is a 4-to-1 setup where you use 4 assembling machines to make the wire and one of them to make the actual circuit. There we go. I still haven't noticed that coal problem on the belt, but eventually I get there. Yeah, one day. I think I'm just more focusing on what the inserters are doing and how well they are doing. Yep, there we go. I finally noticed and get rid of all the coal. Just put it in the smelter so I don't have to deal with it anymore. And yeah, looking pretty good. The base is going well. Still haven't designed a main bus. Haven't got there yet, but getting pretty far along. I can actually start like doing things without being restricted for resources very much anymore. Although the mining drills is quite costly. There we go. Cool. And yeah, just running along the belt so I can run faster. Yeah, optics is still not researched. It takes a really long time when you have 4 times cost and expensive research or resources. It is pretty surprising. I figure I'll just add my own iron because I haven't fully upgraded I haven't fully utilized the iron smelting setup I have there. So I figure I'll just use some of the iron or whatever iron I can manage. Yep, chop down a tree or 2, place the setup. I'm gonna have to start worrying about how the power is looking, because eventually you're gonna get to a point where you need like 20 or 30 of the 20 or 30 of the boilers and I guess 60 or 40 or 60 of the steam engines to actually get enough power for your base. Yeah. I find the steam engines nowadays like ramp up a lot faster. Like you need a much larger setup, even though they're more efficient and easier to make. Yeah, making a couple splitters. Yep, got a good amount of iron in there, and some of the iron is trickling over to where the gears are. And right here I'm looking around like thinking, where do I want a main bus to end up? Like, where would be a good place? And there aren't really any places, because I'm worried there's a big lake to my right, and a whole bunch of trees to my left. So I decided eventually there is an open space to my south, so I'll just cut through these trees and try to make it down there. I do like having lots of space between my smelting setup and my actual bus setup. So I do have lots of room if I want to change things around or add lots and lots of layers. Yeah, just placing the belts, chopping down trees whenever they get in the way. There we go, excellent. And yeah, I'm just looking around like, what do I want to do? So the first thing I always make when I make a bus is the iron area. So I want to leave myself enough room to put circuits immediately as the first thing that gets designed in the bus. So I figure down here should be enough room where I can put circuits just above that. And yeah, I want these underground belts so I can walk across them nicely and actually put some, what's it called? Some of the like bricks or concrete down there so I can walk quickly. And it'll look aesthetically quite nice. Clear out some of the trees so I can keep an eye on if the iron is actually properly flowing and see if there's enough. Pick up a bunch of the copper. And yeah, I'm almost done on optics. Yeah, awesome. So we got optics, and this is pretty much where the episode's going to finish. So thank you for watching. Thomas Plays Factorio. I hope to see you all next time. Goodbye.